Roll it. Let me start
Roll it.
the piss clock.
What's happened to the other one? The other clock's out?
I don't know what the fuck's going on with that thing.
I'm going to knock you out. Oh!
Welcome back to the Volley House podcast, episode
53.
53. We're here at Colca Studios.
You know, that was my captain number, 53.
That's cute. We got Ryan Mackey on the sticks, so be sure to give him a follow.
Ryan, I got a haircut.
Yeah,
Mackey.
No more mustache.
No more mustache, Mackey.
That's Max_visuals, spelled M-A-C-K-S. Go to volleyhousepodcast.com or DM us to ask us questions or send in stories or videos you'd like us to review. Also, give us a follow on all social media platforms at Volley House Podcast and subscribe to our channels on YouTube and Spotify. And don't forget to shop some merch. Where's the hat?
Oh, yeah, I got them. Cold weather is upon us.
Oh, yeah.
I was wearing this a lot the last couple of days, clearing snow out. I feel like we live upstate New York or something lately.
It's been cold.
Do I have it up high? I got to keep it like looking really weird, like you wear your hats.
Yep.
You wear your hats like this. Yeah, we got merch. Go to the website. Cold weather gear. It is upon us. But yeah, like there's no rain anymore. It's all snow. What is it? 20 degrees out. They said tonight it's going to get down to like 15.
I bet.
More frozen pipes, more fires. So we had an almost the other day.
I know. I texted you.
I know the guy was thawing out his pipes with a torch and decided to light the insulation on fire in the wall.
There you go.
Smoked out the house. Luckily, he caught it quick enough. They're like, "Oh, we're going to the Bahamas tomorrow." We're like, "Yeah, you might want to cancel that trip and stay home."
Yeah, it's dumb.
Whatever. It's going to happen. It's going to happen more and more because there's a lot of frozen pipes out there.
Somebody during the snowstorm got called for a snowblower. They got
Comac had a job, right? Yesterday in the snow or whatever, the night before?
I don't remember.
I think it was Comac or Smithtown. Somebody
Smithtown did.
Somebody had a job.
But no, this was a carbon monoxide alarm. They got there, and somebody had a fucking snowblower going in their basement, I think.
Basement?
Yeah.
Well, maybe the garage is part of the basement.
Maybe, but, I mean, come on. I figured before we hop into everything, want to go through some of the fundraiser links that we got for...
we got to post those. Did we post them yet?
No, I'll post them that way when people listen to this. They can just go to our page.
Firefighter, Valley Stream. He's a New York City firefighter in, I believe, Ladder 150, the House Hogs. Mm-hmm. Had a fire in his house. He has some children, I think a 17-year-old. But they're having a fundraiser for them. They were also looking for clothes and stuff, just get through a tough time. But, we have fires in our own homes sometimes, but we got to take care of the brothers and sisters as best we can.
Yeah,
and then we had a firefighter from Levittown that was killed in a car accident with a couple other people. I think they lost control on a turn or something like that.
Yeah,
but 19 years old. They say she was a great asset to their department, and so they're having a fundraiser for her as well, or her family. So
yeah, so we'll post those on our social accounts.
Terrible tragedies.
Any bit helps.
And then we got the shirts going on. So
yeah, so that's the next thing. Back to our Department of the Week fundraiser. So we understand there's some departments out there hurting for donations and funds, so we created this program. Our goal is to raise money by selling fire department T-shirts on our website, where net proceeds will be sent back to the department at the end of each month. By using our platform, you'll be able to reach more people outside your area. So this is a great opportunity for us firefighters to support one another while also adding to your collection of fire department merch. If you want more information on how to get your department involved, send us a message on social media or send us an email, info@volleyhousepodcast.com. And
with proper approvals.
Yeah. Last week, the firehouse of the week was Riverton Fire Department in Connecticut. This week is the city of Wickett in Texas. And this is their write-up. As with many small-town departments in West Texas, the Wickett Volunteer Fire Department relies heavily on local support and donations. They work closely with the Ward County Sheriff's Office and neighboring departments like Monahans, Peyote, Barstow, and Grand Falls to provide mutual aid during large-scale incidents, particularly along the I-20 corridor, which sees significant commercial traffic. We are a small but mighty department consisting of 17 active members. We recently have been struggling with response due to losing our primary suppression engine in an accident. We have a reserve engine, but it needs a lot of work. And with a small operating budget, we rely heavily on donations, and we need as much as we can. And they're going to need like $30,000 to get their engine up and running again.
Wow.
So any purchases of these shirts and stickers too, because we added stickers, will help out toward that cause. So that is our Firehouse of the Week, Wickett Volunteer Fire Department.
Help them out. They need a rig.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
big time.
And there's always the Terry Farrell Fund as well. Reach out to Terry Farrell if you need anything.
Yep. Let's do real quick before we move on.
Sponsor.
1-800-BOARD-UP. When disaster strikes, every second and every person matters. That's where 1-800-BOARD-UP comes in. Staffed by many retired first responders, their teams are trained to operate safely and professionally on active incident scenes. After fires, storms, or accidents, they respond immediately to secure properties, prevent further damage, and provide victim services, offering calm guidance and support during the most difficult moments. Working seamlessly alongside first responders and insurance partners, 1-800-BOARD-UP helps protect what matters most and begins the path to recovery when people need it most. Visit 1-800-BOARDUP.com for more information.
And that's one area I really do feel we could do better with in the fire service. And I know we got enough on our plate, but people have fires, and then it's usually in our communities, and then we don't really do much after that. That's where 1-800-BOARD-UP comes in, and other people in the salvage world. But they used to have fire patrol in New York City, which was funded by insurance companies. They go in and do salvage work and try to save things, cover things with plastic and stuff like that. And,
Yeah, I mean,
but that's where these guys can really help out, and the victim relocation and everything else, and trying to take care of your home.
Yeah, I think what they did with 1-800-BOARD-UP is a really good thing to separate themselves. We talked about it the last episode, because a lot of these board-up companies just come in there like vultures, just want the job. These guys want to get in. They want to make sure that the homeowner or a person who experienced the loss is taken care of. I think that's a really good part of their business. So
Absolutely.
God forbid anything happens and you need some assistance, definitely reach out to these guys. And they're all over the country and the world. All right. Suspended or not.
Dun, dun, dun.
4 firefighters arrested in Florida after having a paintball gun fight, which led to a patrol car being hit with a green paintball, as well as other cars and buildings.
Might be a problem.
I think so. This was...
I just saw that.
Yeah, this was
posted
a,
today. I didn't get a chance to read it. I was so busy running around.
Somebody actually sent this to us.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
I
it's
just saw it.
It was a paid department.
Sounds like they're in trouble.
Yeah. I think they were placed on... They were reassigned to administrative duties while the investigation... I mean...
It's good to have fun, but you can't be damaging people's property.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, the article really didn't say if it was...
I didn't get to read it all.
Like, if they were actually shooting at cars. I mean, that's dumb. Or if it was they were having a paintball gun fight and a couple shots missed and a patrol car got hit. That's going to cause some serious...
It's almost as bad as the potato gun. Right? Shooting
Yeah,
potato gun. We were
potato
talking
gun.
about that.
Yeah, or the one where the guy took the cop car and drove it around to the back of the firehouse when the cop was. But
yeah, I don't know all the details. I didn't get to read the article, but I'm sure there's ongoing investigation before anything else happens. But
Yeah, absolutely.
If that was a volley house, maybe clean it up.
Yeah, I would say so. Especially if you're, because they hit other cars too.
You gotta realize that, first off, kids look up to us, right? So you don't want kids to think poorly of the fire service or yourself or what goes on. That's first off.
Oh yeah.
And then second, you're kind of held to a higher standard, right? I mean, they look at you differently. Like, you should be smart enough not to do stupid things. But unfortunately, most of us as firefighters, like, our brain still tells us we're like 16 years old,
Yep.
and we think we can do anything we want.
I'm trying to think too. Like,
What do
I
they
don't
say?
know how much.
Firefighters are like just children. They're adult children. They never grew up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
I just don't. I don't know if paintballs, if the actual paint does damage to car paint. Maybe if it gets shot, like if a car gets shot, yeah, it can
I don't
nick the
think
car.
so, but
But I think
I don't know enough about it. But you could damage things with it.
Yeah, for sure. But like, how close were these cars to the firehouse? I don't know. I guess
What if a window is open, hit somebody in the head or the eye? Like when you go to a paintball thing, right? You're wearing goggles, a mask, right? You're protected.
that still doesn't do shit. We went for
I know you still wind up with welts all over your body.
we went for my brother's bachelor party to, I think it's skirmish paintball in Pennsylvania. It's a huge thing, and we were there. It was the Thursday we got there. It was like the start of his bachelor weekend, and the people that were there were like, "Who wants to play Civil War?" And we're like, "Fuck yeah!" And it's two teams.
Challenge accepted.
They cut the whole place in half, and you line up, and both teams face each other, and they flip a coin, and one team gets to shoot first. So we were boozing, and my brother was like,
That's when you said, "Hold my beer." Hold
"Yeah,
on.
no." My brother's like, "I'm taking off my shirt." He takes his shirt off. He's
my
bare
God.
skin. I'm next to him, and the other team gets to go first. So they're like, okay, arm up. Guys, raise the paintball guns.
And shot him right in the
Fire.
chest.
And I just hear my brother's skin just... They all aimed at him and
You're
lit
like,
him up.
that guy,
Yeah.
he's an idiot.
Yeah, and then after... So he goes out, and then now my team takes one step forward, and then we aim and shoot. And it wound up... We wound up beating this other team, but there was one little kid left on the other side, and there was like 5 of us. And they're like, obviously, we're not going to let you all shoot this kid. So we just let the kid take a shot out of all of us. It was fun.
Never did it.
Oh, paintballs.
There you go.
Okay, so it could stain the paint.
Chip the paint.
Chip, I can understand, but like, if it was just like splatter from the paintball.
Yeah, no, listen, I get it. I mean, if it can be cleaned up, but if you're causing damage, I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, all right, moving on. Job of the week. Somebody submitted Bensalem, Pennsylvania. They had 2 jobs in 16 hours, both 2-story private dwellings. And then we mentioned before, the Comac had a fire, Smithtown had a fire, Levittown had a fire, Valley Stream,
Yeah.
Inwood, I think too, Bayshore.
I stopped keeping track. There's too many.
It's been out east too. Sag Harbor
Yeah, it's been busy.
had a job. It's been, I mean, it's every episode we say how busy it is.
I think there's going to be a lot more.
Yeah, probably, unfortunately.
And we may get more snow
Yeah.
this weekend, depending on how the track goes. We'll see.
Well, this episode
it's time to go to Florida.
is packed with a bunch of winter storm related topics.
Winter Wonderland.
Drill of the week. I know this isn't really so much of a drill, but I thought it was good seeing the departments out there during their snow standbys, going out shoveling hydrants. A couple of departments put out a contest. I believe your department did too.
Yeah, so I noticed Smithtown put it out. I don't know the
Yeah.
first to do it, but I saw Smithtown put it out, and
The
I
Hydrant
shared
Hero?
it. And then Town of Babylon jumped on it. I saw West Sayville did it. Stony Brook did it. Setauket did it. There was somebody further out east too. But a bunch of departments jumped on it. I thought it was great concept, you know. Take a picture, selfie or whatever with the hydrant you cleared out, 3 feet round, all the way around the hydrant, and you submit it. Every hydrant you submit is another entry, and they're going to pull a bunch of raffles out, restaurant gift certificates, whatever. So
Yeah, I thought that was
I
a
think
cool
West
idea.
Sayville was going to do 4, and they wound up doing 8 because there were so many people that submitted. I know Smithtown had a bunch of restaurants listed.
Yep.
You know, so I think it's a great concept. Get the community involved. See who's actually watching your social media pages. You know.
Yeah.
And as social media just keeps going, it's great. It's good for us because we have to get to these hydrants.
Yeah.
You know, I do the one on the corner from my house every year, every snowstorm. And yeah, they pushed a lot of snow right up by the hydrant there. It was a pain in the ass. So,
Yeah.
But I did not take a selfie. I just did it.
Out of the goodness of your heart.
Well, you know what? It's important.
It is.
I don't want my house to burn down.
It's true.
Especially since I have 2 stoves burning at the same time right now because it's so cold out.
Yeah, it's been freezing. And we'll also, I know we talked about the drill book we're working on, so once Kevin has a
Sorry,
second
I've
to...
been so friggin' busy. I'm going
Kevin-
from here to a class tonight.
Kevin's like a shark. He doesn't stop moving.
We
even
did
when he's sleeping.
we did duty crew during the snow the other day, and we had on the TV the lithium-ion battery class, the battery
Yes,
class
I remember
that,
you sent me that.
Suffolk did. So we all watched it while we were there. Got something in.
You got to snuggle up under blankets, hot cocoa.
We were on the apparatus floor. Got a couple tables out there, TV. Not
I like
bad.
the apparatus floor setup. I like a lot. I like it better than
I want couches, but I was told no.
too much tomfoolery going on over there.
We'll see what happens.
Could happen. I definitely.
We
could
are the
happen.
responding company right now. Guys turn out, so it's great.
All right, so let's get into some topic submissions. Winter storm prep is the first one. A lot of winter stuff. So I was thinking about it. We had talked about winter storm prep, and then I
Yes.
realized that we spoke about that last year. I thought it was fairly recent.
Didn't we talk about it? We talked about it a couple months ago. No?
That's what I thought. But
December.
then I think it was like last year or whatever.
Well, it's different for everybody, but you know, when you look at it, I laugh. Some of my friends that are down in Florida right now, and somebody posted a picture of the weather map. Like most of the country had something coming through, and it said, "Sorry, folks, Florida will not be part of your weather."
Yeah, until a fucking Category 4 hurricane comes ripping through there. We're like,
Very
sorry,
true.
it didn't hit us.
Very
you
true.
know?
But yeah, it was interesting because Florida didn't really get anything out of the storm, but everybody else did. And, you know, even down into Texas and Georgia, Carolinas, everything, people got snow. And snow down south usually shuts down the world, especially the Carolinas. You get a little snow or ice,
Yeah,
shuts
yeah.
everything down. But anyway, you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared for whatever you can do. So, you know, having some extra shovels on the rig, snow shovels, or, you know, heavy metal shovels to break through ice. Rock salt. Rock salt is very important. You know, we carry 2 5-gallon cans on all our rigs, at least at my station. So we have 2 buckets of salt, you know, especially for the tower ladder. I mean, if you have to put the tormentors down onto ice, it can move around and slide, or even in the snow. So usually we'll shovel out what we can, throw some rock salt down, then put the pads right on top of it, so you get some contact with the ground.
Does your district supply the salt for you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then, you know, we have a bunch of plow trucks, maintenance guys that are doing the parking lots. So they'll respond with us to ambulance calls,
Yep.
fire calls, best we can if we have to plow at a street. We don't have chains on our rigs. I wish we did, you know, because sometimes it can get pretty hairy. And there was some streets that weren't touched for hours. There was some, I think, just today they just finally got to out on the island here. So you have to be able to make it down those blocks. And if you get one truck stuck, guess what? The rest ain't getting through either. So I think chains can be important and should be utilized when needed. Some have those On-spot chains, they're not the best, but they do work. You know, the ones that
Yeah, they kind of
spin around.
Yeah.
A lot of ambulances have them. But then again, a lot of the ambulance nowadays, we're getting four-wheel drive ambulances because it's just easier.
And then you have the other one. It's the chain wrap that like goes around the actual
the
tire.
wraps and
what the fuck is going on over here?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Every
over there.
goddamn episode we do, there's some bullshit going on.
No, but it sounds like they're doing construction.
Yeah.
But you got to be prepared, you know, and even getting in and out of the firehouse, your own members. You know, we were out yesterday helping out some of our senior guys getting themselves out of their driveways. So, you know, people shoot around with their snowblowers, and we'll see what happens. But I got probably 13 inches, I think, of snow.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
even
think
14
a lot of the
on
island
the
did.
North Shore.
But to your point too, with the extra shovels on the trucks, and I guess this kind of goes into the next submission, which is firefighting during snowstorms, complications / difficulties. If and most departments do the standby crews during snowstorms. So if you have a good amount of guys down at the fire station, prepare to have a team of guys that act as the shovelers, so to speak, to make way for the hose teams to get through and whatnot. I mean, we were talking about before we started the show how the plows just, you know, they come through and everything gets pushed up in front of the aprons of the driveways. And depending on how much snow you get, like this weekend coming up, if we wind up getting a big snowstorm, there's a lot of fucking snow around still, and it's not going to melt because it's staying cold here. So that's going to add to the height of those things, you know, of that bunch of snow in front of the aprons of driveways. So I would definitely say try and plan to have a team that's going to facilitate that.
If you can. I mean, listen, you got to do the best you can. You know, we try to space out our members, and, you know, just like we do our normal duty crews, we're doing 4-hour blocks duty crews. So, you know, I went down first thing in the morning, 8 to 12. It was like the senior man crew. We figured it out. It was 155 years of service on the rig in the morning from 8 to 12.
It was just you and one other guy?
Yeah, yeah, ha. Funny. I'm not that old. No gray here still, bro. No gray. But anyway, you got to space it out so you can get the maximum amount of coverage, which we did. But, you know, like even New York City, they ride, all the engines ride with 5 men. So it's an officer and 5, so 6 people. They usually put on extra guys to shovel the roofs if they have to cut a roof. So years ago when we had the open cab, you know, ladders, tower ladders and stuff, you just sit on the turntable, the extra guy, you know. But nowadays you might have to get shuffled around in a pickup truck or something. But extra people to the scene, send them to the roof, start shoveling out so they can cut a hole. So there's a lot of things. Other things you have to consider. Wisconsin Fire Department had a ice rescue the other day.
I saw FDNY's Facebook page posted about that.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I guess one of the rescuers was a
FDNY guy?
FDNY?
Probably. They have a few over there. I think Parks or public safety guy was the first one in the water, and then the fire department. But anyway, if you are at a fire scene, residential home especially, I talk about swimming pools a lot, but as you go around the rear of a house or the side of a house, right, you got to expect the unexpected. All you see is snow. You might not see the swimming pool. You know, hopefully it's got like one of those tough covers, those loop locks that you can't fall through. But it's very possible you could trip, you could fall, you can go through ice. There could even be a pond in the backyard, stuff like that. So just be very considerate anywhere you're traversing, setting up ladders or carrying ladders around. You might not be able to get a fence open, right? Because the fence is blocked by the snow. Now you're going to get around the rear, and the fence, you can't push it because it's locked in with ice. So you may have to shovel that out or break the fence and go through it. So you may need to cut a lock or cut a hinge off the fence just so you can get into the backyard. So there's a lot of things you have to consider. So expect the unexpected. The other thing is be very cognizant of where you're putting your tools. Tools go down in the snow, you're not finding them, you know, whether it's a hydrant wrench, whether it's a hook, a Halligan. You know, normally we'll throw our tools on the ground to put a ladder up, stuff like that. put your stuff against the house or in a specific spot that you know where it is, because that's all things that could cause major problems. All right, the hose you'll find, right? You're going to grab it, but you drop a tool, you might lose it. It might be gone forever. So you'll find it in the spring when the snow melts.
Yeah. The other thing too, with the storm that we just had, and Ryan and I were talking about it in the morning. I went out and did some shoveling. The snow was powder, and I know there were people.
You could use a leaf blower.
I was just going to say
Yeah,
people
a
were
lot of
using
people
leaf
did.
blowers. But when
That was like upstate mountain snow, like
Yes.
ski resort snow, very fine, a lot. Maybe it was coming down probably 2.5 inches an hour. Like it was coming down.
Yeah,
but
now-
it was powdery. It was fluffy. Like when you drove down the street, it just flew off your car.
later
right?
in the night,
Then it started changing to that sleet, freezing
became
rain.
sleet, and
Oh,
that's
man.
another thing where when you have, say, a fire in a residential home that's got a peaked roof, and that outer layer of snow gets heavy, and you have fire underneath, that is another thing to watch out for. Is that
Comes
layer of
sliding off.
snow comes sliding right off?
Well, same thing with solar panels, right?
Yes.
Snow sits on solar panels. Once it heats up a little bit, sometimes that comes sliding off fast. And right now, people are having a lot of ice dams in their gutters and stuff like that, which is causing water to seep into people's homes, which could cause electrical fires. You have people thawing out pipes. Like I said, we had one the other night. Guy was thawing out his pipes. Next thing you know, his house is filling with smoke. You lit the insulation on fire. Right? That could be bad. So there's a lot of things that can happen. Fireplaces, chimney fires, that's going on. There's a lot of things that can hurt us, and we have to be cognizant of it. Now, do I want to go on a peaked roof with snow and ice to cut a hole? Probably not, unless it's from a towel ladder or something.
Right.
But, you have to look at every extreme or what could possibly happen.
Yeah, definitely. You got to take a second, especially during a snowstorm, or just if it could be the day after when shit's not plowed all the way. On your way to the call, I know you want to get there fast. You want to get to the scene of the fire, but take it slow. Okay, the trucks that you're driving are incredibly heavy. They
Once
don't
they start
stop.
sliding, they keep going.
Yeah,
There was some videos
terrifying.
recently. I wish I knew where. I saw a couple
Yeah.
of them. Rigs just sliding
Yep.
down the street,
And that's
taking
the
out
other
parked
thing.
cars, and
That's the other thing too. I mean, even just going to your regular alarm, if it's an automatic
responding.
fire alarm, something like that, and you have to go down a hill, like Ryan, I know where your fire station is. It's, hills upon hills. So, you don't want to turn a regular automatic alarm response into, a couple $1,000 trip.
there's still a lot of ice on the roads.
Yeah.
And, obviously this is the island wherever you are, but you do have to be careful. Some of these side streets are literally a mess. Some of it's melting and then refreezing on the roads, which makes it slippery. So
The other thing,
and then the other thing you have to consider too is the weight of the snow. So you had snow and then some rain. That gets heavy. And then if we get more snow and more rain, it could cause roof collapse. And that's happened many times too.
Yeah.
We've seen it. The Smithtown Bowling Alley
Yes,
many
I
years
remember
ago. That was a bowstring
yeah.
truss roof with a heavy snow load, and they lost one of the trusses, and a gaping hole went crashing in, and they rebuilt it. But that's a lot of weight. So now there's weight up there. Now you send firefighters up there. You're adding additional weight to that roof. So just be careful.
The other thing too for
Coughing.
for engine operators, NPOs, if you are at a scene and it's below freezing out and your truck's going to be just kind of sitting out there, throw it into pump and let the
Circulate the water.
Yeah, let the
I think most pump operators should know that.
Yeah,
They're pretty smart about
just
it.
throwing
but-
it out there.
Yes.
And
And
get that
keep that
impeller.
rock salt. You need that rock salt, right? Where there's water, there's ice, right? You're going to flow water. Even as the engine chauffeur, I would put it all on the ground around the rig so guys don't slip and fall.
Yep.
You got to be careful. And then, same thing with a home, right? A home goes on fire. You go inside the house, even if it's 2-story building, right? You're going to take the windows out. The front door is going to be open. You're flowing water. Next thing you know, the staircase inside is frozen solid, right? The floors are frozen solid inside the home. And now firefighters slip and fall and they get hurt. It's happened many times. I went right down a staircase once or twice. There was ice, and I was being careful. So just be cautious anything you do in the snow and ice.
Yep. Next one. I like this submission. Best meal for a snow standby.
It depends.
It's got to be something hot.
Yeah, like sometimes you don't want to cook too much or stuff like that. I like chilies and soups.
Chili,
to tell you
yeah,
the truth.
chili's great.
We did grilled cheese and tomato soup at the
that's
firehouse,
nice. I love
with
that.
some ham on it. And tomato is great. Simple, keeps you warm. But you could put a pot of chili on, and you could just leave it there all day, and people could just come in and grab some and some crackers and stuff like that. But we made a nice breakfast in the morning. We did some French toast, some eggs, bacon, sausage. It was a nice little breakfast. We checked the rigs out. We put an extra shovel in the back, right in the hose bed. So, we had some extra shovels, stuff like that. Shoveled around the apron and stuff. The maintenance guys are out there, but you got to give them a hand, especially the front doors, stuff like that. But I like soups. I also do like a pasta mix sometimes, with some bow ties and small chunks of chicken and broccoli and some peppers and stuff. You use some chicken broth, and then you throw in, at the end, I throw in like some small mozzarella cubes. I learned that in the city firehouse. Easy to throw together, but it's almost like a soup pasta thing.
Almost like a chicken soup pasta.
Yeah, kind of.
That
So,
sounds pretty
yeah,
good.
you use chicken broth, and then, like I said, chunks of chicken. Some people add bacon to it and stuff like that, but it's just an easy big pot. You just leave it there. You put a top on it and just let it simmer.
Yeah, I feel anything like soups are important because they're going to keep you warm.
I wasn't going outside the grill, I could tell you that.
Yeah, no way.
It wasn't happening.
And then also, you can, if you're at, say, a fire or, an operation that's taking a couple of hours, you can bring that soup there.
You could. I mean,
I'm not saying in the truck.
Warm, yeah.
I'm not saying in the truck. Like, we had a hazmat.
Our new lieutenant
years
likes
ago.
to cook, Randy, so he's on the cooking scale, so he's always cooking.
Well, that's good. But I'm saying for these types of fires, like you can bring out, say, if people are at the firehouse,
Hot
hey, let's
chocolate,
bring
coffee.
bring the van
Lot of
out
coffee.
there. But you could drink the soup out of cups.
Yes,
it's
you
easy.
can.
Like you don't need a bowl and everything like that. But yeah, definitely
I like
hot
a good
food.
good pot of chili though. Just throw it out there.
Yeah, chili. I mean, chili. I like chili. It's not usually my go-to. Chicken noodle soup's great. Broccoli cheddar soup. That's really good. I'm trying to think what else. Pizza's kind of easy, but kind of boring.
Yeah, I don't know.
You want to be like you don't want to be at a standby where they're just ordering you food to eat. You want get in the kitchen with the guys.
So we did it. We did a crew. We did a few crews last week, but Wednesday night we did a crew. It was kind of thrown together last minute. We went down to BJ's Wholesale and we went shopping for the snowstorm. So we were ready to go.
Yeah, and then
We
you
bought some soups, different soups.
you enjoyed each other's company in the kitchen while
it.
making it and everything like that. I think that's what it's about.
Yeah.
That gives you the chance to build some camaraderie and make, because
You break
sometimes the
each
snow
other's
standbys
balls,
can
you have
get-
a good time.
Yeah, standbys can be fucking boring. You're just sitting there all day, and then it's like
we only had one
shit.
call, and the chief told us to stay there. He let just the other station go because it was closer to them.
Yeah, you don't
we
wanna-
try to get into station response mode when we do this.
Yeah, you don't want to be
But it was
committing.
an automatic alarm, and instead of committing everybody way up to the north end, like I said, we have a big district, 28 square miles, and especially in the weather. So
I had
we were
mentioned
ready to
this
go if needed. I mean, we could have.
Before we had that call for a commercial structure fire years ago on Jericho during a blizzard, and we just started the snow standby. Multiple calls coming through, and it wound up being the snow was falling on top of a orange light,
It looked
and
like
it was
it
melting,
fire,
and
yeah.
it was just steaming.
Yep.
And people who were driving were like, "Holy shit!" And our chief, when he pulled up, almost reactivated it for a working fire, and then he was like, "Hold on a second.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, this is just a light that's producing a lot of heat and melting the snow."
Yeah. We had a bunch of calls in the afternoon. I wasn't down there. They had a few. They got the ladder truck on the road later on in the day, but you got to be careful. Just slow it down. Get there. But if you can
Yeah.
man the firehouses, that's the best thing you can do. Is Because
Yeah.
it's going to be much lower responsive. You got to clean your car off, get out of your driveway, and get to the firehouse. Get to the firehouse so you're ready to go.
Yeah, and like you said, set up, start your meal prep, and get something that all the guys can
Put some movies
come
on,
down.
and you put
Yeah,
your
make it-
Netflix,
don't make it
Netflix
boring.
account on, and
Don't make it boring. Everyone gets involved.
Well, like I
everyone
said,
has
we got a
helping
training
hand.
in while we were doing it. There was a morning,
Yeah, it's another
online training. It was perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some guys were doing their mandatory stuff. It's all done online, so they just jump on a computer and do that.
Right. Next submission, somebody just wrote outside vent jobs and reports.
Outside vent jobs and reports. Well, we kind of got into this a little. What was that? Like a week ago? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I
We
do
talked
remember
about
it.
We did talk about OV.
Yeah, somebody asked about the other week. They asked if you were going in solo for an OV, do you go past the door? And then we discussed about the conditions, being a factor and all that
even
stuff.
going back into what we were saying a couple weeks ago, it's really going to be dependent on your department, the way you operate. That's number one. And then number two, what type of building or situation we're going to handle. Is it a commercial or is it residential? And then, you got to kind of go with that. The standard tool we use is Halligan tool and the New York roof hook, the metal hook, or Halligan hook, some people call it. But those two tools together. And then occasionally you may need an axe, you may need a maul, you may need a saw, you may need bolt cutters. You may need a lot of things. So it really is very dependent on what you get there. You do your size up and you look and you say, oh, that's chain link fence. Maybe I should bring a saw with me to cut my way around it. Or maybe I have to cut a chain or a lock or something like that. Or I'm going to a commercial building, I may have to shear bolts off the door, or maybe I have to cut the door to get into the building.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to look at all of those factors.
Or if your
or you
district
might have to
has-
bring a ladder, right?
Yeah.
You might have to bring either a short ladder, like we call the OV ladder, the 6-foot ladder, or a 24-foot extension ladder, or bigger. So
And also, if your district has residential buildings, like apartments or something like that, that have the bars over the windows.
yeah,
Well, that's like
I mean, you
something
you could also have mixed occupancy buildings, right? So the first floor is commercial with the second floor residential, apartments above.
Taxpayer.
So some of those may have fire escapes, right? If there's a fire escape, you're going to try to go to the fire escape, go opposite the fire, climb up the fire escape, maybe pop the window, go in and do a search. Vent, enter, and search, or vent, enter, isolate, search, right? We've always isolated. We just added an I. But you vent the window, you go in the window, you search to the door, close the door, search the room. Then if you can, go back to the door, look out into the hallway. If I can make the next room, I'll make the next room.
Let me ask you a question. You're a truck guy. Why
I'm an everything guy.
why do so many hardcore truckies hate the I in VEIS?
Because we always did it. I just personally think that somebody invented this I to write an article. I don't know. I mean, I was taught VES at an early age.
Yes.
You vent, enter, search. And while you vent, you enter, you close the door, which is isolating, and then you do your search. We've always done it. I mean, do we say vent by breaking the window? Do we say vent by taking a door? How do we don't say what we do with the vent, right? Do we say,
I just remember when it came about, because I remember hearing somebody was like VEIS. I'm like, what's the I for? And they're like, isolate.
But
And I
we've
was
always
just, and I
isolated.
was just like, oh, okay. And then like one of the other like truckies popped in. He's like, it's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Like
like,
I
all
said,
right.
we always isolated. I mean, if you were stupid enough to vent and enter a building and then isolate the door where there's possibly fire in another room or down below you, you're stupid. I mean, there are times you can do that, but I mean, we've always isolated the door before you moved on to another bedroom or something like that.
Right.
Whether it was an apartment or a residential building or whatever, we always isolated. The job of the truck, right, is to force entry, do a search, find the fire, isolate and contain the fire as best they can, and help the engine get the line in place. Right. The truck's job is actually to help the engine. I mean, I know most of the country.
Tread lightly on that one, Kev. You'll piss off the big time truck guys.
No, I'm not. I mean, listen, everybody says the job is search and life safety, and it is. Life safety has always been the paramount for everybody, whether you're an engine guy, truck guy, rescue guy. It's all about life. That's what we're doing. But, overall, what is the procedure? What are we supposed to do? If the truck and engine get there around the same time, truck forces entry searches. Now, most of the country and most of the worlds we live in, it's engine-based, right? The engine usually going to get there first, and sometimes the engine has to go in and do a search. Sometimes the engine doesn't stretch the line because they got to rescue people and get them out, because you have to kind of make that decision, right? Risk versus reward and everything else. But if people are hanging out the windows, is it easier to throw a ladder up? Or can the chauffeur just throw the ladder up or whatever? So we're going to function that way. And then, in the volunteer system, we don't have all the time, not every department has standardized policy, SOP, of exactly what everybody does. Some do, some don't.
Right.
Most are waiting for a chief to decide, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, my department, we have riding positions. You sit in the seat, you know what your job is. You know what tools you're supposed to take. You could still make some decisions. But, the best tool we have is our brain, is to think. Think about what's going on and make good decisions. That's really what it comes down to, a good mental state. And then everything else will just flow. But there are departments that say, if we don't have a truck, the second due engine's job is to search, to force entry and search. Some say it's third due. Right? Everybody's a little different in how they function.
Yeah. No, I agree completely.
But it's important. But VEIS or VES, whatever you want to do, you're going to vent, enter the building. You're going to isolate that door or whatever room if you can. You're going to search that room and then possibly move on to the next room. If you can't, then maybe you have to go back out the window, move the ladder over to another window, and then go up, depending on what's going on. Sometimes it's a fire escape, right? You're going up the fire escape. Once you're on the fire escape, you don't have many choices, right? You may have 2 apartments you can get in, possibly, right? Because the fire escape may stretch across 2 apartments. Sometimes it's only 1, but a lot of times it's going to be 2. So one window will go in one apartment, one will go in the other. That's it. You don't have much choice.
Right.
So it's very dictated, the OV's job, on the type of building and where you're going and what you're actually trying to accomplish.
And there's also the report.
Coordinated ventilation.
Yes, obviously. Or maybe not so obviously.
Well, it's not obvious to some people.
And then the report part of it, which is making sure you're communicating properly with incident command over the radio, clear, concise, controlled.
Well, it doesn't always have to be the incident command. It could be the inside team.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right?
Like,
if you're in the truck and I'm the OV, I'm going to communicate with my boss,
yes,
the truck boss.
Right.
And I'm going to tell him, I'm at the window. I'm going to take the window if you're good with that. And he says, okay, I'm going to take the window. I'm going to make entry. Right?
Yeah.
That's that coordinated ventilation, because you don't want to cause undue harm or cause the fire to move into a position it's not. Right? Fire travels from high pressure to low pressure, whichever is the path of least resistance. So if I take that window and now that's a path of least resistance, it may pull the fire towards me.
Yeah,
or towards the crew.
People shit on the drill or the training where people use like almost looks like a dollhouse where you can actually show people the flow path. And I've seen those videos pop up on social media, and then you have all the keyboard firemen that are like,
listen,
people
people
are
are going
to fucking drill. Blah.
People are going to complain about everything.
Oh, I know, but it's just like, dude, like maybe those people don't have like a burn building where they can actually see the flow path.
Yeah,
where
but
this
even
is just
in a burn building, you
thing.
can't really listen.
I know. But
the
I'm just saying
buildings that we
it's
train in are
easy.
not real life. It's just fact. We're
Right.
burning pallets and hay. It's just not realistic.
I'm talking about like.
But I agree, there are ways to learn. But you have to have a good instructor that really understands what they're talking about in those dollhouses.
Yes.
Because you can have a crap instructor or they don't do it right, and you're not going to really see what needs to be done. So I wouldn't crap on it, because I think it's good to understand how fire travels from point to point. But, there are a lot of factors involved. Is there wind? And which direction is the wind blowing from? And how much of a wind? If it's coming from this side or that side or from across. Or maybe it's hitting it in an angle, right? Right from the corner. So you have to look at all different extremes. And we can train and we can do things. We could try to recreate things. No 2 fires are really the same. they're all different. The materials that burn are different. The way it travels is different. But it gives you a general idea of how the fire may travel or go through its path. All right. And, we just went through 21st anniversary of Black Sunday, right? My friend Joey D and, Kurt Myron and John Ballou, who passed away that day. But, understanding the extremes that they went through, that fire, and I'm not going to leave out, Richie Scalfani also passed away in Brooklyn the same day. So we lost 2 firefighters in the Bronx and 1 in Brooklyn, and then others catastrophically injured as well that survived, Jeff and Eugene and Brendan, they all had major injuries. But, you look at the way that fire traveled, right? There was partitions that were put in place that weren't supposed to be there in that building. Fire traveled from one floor to the other behind this wall that was trapped. The firefighters couldn't access or get to the fire escape, and they had no way out of this building. They were basically met with one side a wall of flames and the other side windows, and the fire was coming at them once it broke through. So they had no choice but to jump. And because their ropes were taken away from them, this is before the bailout systems, we had a rope that New York City firefighters had that the fire commissioner decided it's too expensive to replace them, let's get rid of them. And that's why they were faced in that situation. But you get back to positioning and response and what you're doing and situational awareness. We had some really well-trained firefighters that got themselves in a bad position, not to their fault. A lot of factors happened. A lot of things went into play. Somebody's checking on us? But, you have to realize these guys got trapped, and the only way out was those windows. And if they had a bailout system, like most firefighters are carrying, well, I don't want to say most because there's a lot of people that aren't still carrying it, they could have used the ropes to deploy and save themselves.
Yeah.
So that gets back into positioning, fire escapes, flow path and way fire travels and everything else. But we're faced by a lot of things that happen to us on a daily basis. And sometimes it may not be a big deal and it may not happen. All it takes is once.
No,
But
100% right.
people change their homes. They put partitions in. Maybe they're not taking care of their fire escapes. It's not working properly. Maybe they're putting extra security on their homes, like window bars or extra locks or anything else. Those are all things that we can deal with as firefighters, and it happens in every community.
Right.
So use your brain, fill the file cabinet with a lot of good files, and make good decisions. I went off on a tangent.
A little bit. All good, though. Next one is priorities of low manpower units during daytime fires, positions, critical duties, and incident command. Again, all situational.
Yeah, it's going to be very dependent on your department and really dependent on what's happening. It's a tough call to say this is what you should do.
Yeah.
What you should do is have a lot of different ways to handle the situation with all different types of manpower. Whether you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, you should figure out where the gaps are or what person has to do more than one function or job. Mm-hmm. And that's what it comes down to. So like on the engine positioning, you have a door person and a control person, right? I don't want to say not everybody does this, but we do a nozzle, backup, door, control. Okay, the control person could also be the hydrant person. The door person is usually the person that's going to be at the doorway, and then your nozzle team and an officer. So the door and the control can wind up being the same person sometimes.
Yeah.
If we're really short and say we're down to 3 people, the officer becomes the backup person. So you have a nozzle person, officer becomes the backup, and then a person for the hydrant or the control to break the line or make sure there's no kinks, chase the kinks. So it really is going to be a factor of how you normally operate and the type of building.
Yeah, and I would say, too, what your priorities are. Obviously, with fire, you need water. So that's one priority to think of. And then the other part of it is your if there's anybody inside. You have to, those are 2 things that you're really going to have to pay attention to. Is this something where I can go in, make a quick grab, or is it going to be the type of thing where, hey, I need to get water and put water on this fire?
If you think about it, if I'm very low personnel-wise, right, all those people have to be inside the building, regardless of how you look at it in any way else. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously somebody's going to have to get a hydrant at some point. You have to get positive water. But for the most part, an engine's going to pull up with a minimum of 500 gallons. And a lot of places now 750,
Yeah.
800, depending on. So, UL study says we could put out a 1 to 2 bedroom fire in a residential structure with 300 gallons or less. That was the UL study. So, and that's flow and go. That means opening a line at the front door and pushing your way down the hallway, 300 gallons, all right? So we know we have some water. We can stretch a line. We can put the fire out for the most part, as long as it's a smaller fire. So that's going to be the priority, unless I have a visible person that's in distress that I have to take out at that particular second.
Right.
All right. And it's very difficult even for one person to take one person out. Right. So that's going to be the factor. But all my people are going to kind of be inside if I'm short-staffed. The other thing we have to consider, especially in the volunteer service, is who do I have on the rig? All right. I talk about this a lot. Quality over quantity. All right. I'd rather have all interior firefighters that can do the job. But what happens when my crew is 3 people and I have an exterior firefighter? Hopefully the exterior is the one driving and I have 2 interiors still. Mm-hmm. But what happens if it's an interior driving, an officer, and an exterior in the back? Now I got a problem.
Right.
Okay? So there's where your factors are going to start to change. Now, can the officer go in by themselves with a line and a person at the door? I wouldn't recommend it. 2 in, 2 out, right? But can the job get done? Maybe, depending on the situation.
I think that's where.
And if there's life hazard, right, 2 in,
Yeah.
2 outs out the window, maybe you're going to have to push in.
Right. I think that's where the risk versus reward comes into play extra heavy when you're taking a look at the situation and, just because, and Kevin, I think you had mentioned this sometime last year, but if you pull up to a job and there's heavy fire, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's a lot of fire. Like that one video that you show where the guys go in and they start hitting it with the hose and they knock it down. It looked like the whole fucking building was on fire. They go in, hit it with the hose, and all of a sudden, okay, now we can go in here.
Listen, fires, especially flame, right? When you see flame, it looks impressive, regardless of where it's coming from, right? It's a fire, and we should expect fire when we get on the rig. We should expect that we're showing up to a fire. But sometimes the way materials are burned, especially these homes, residential, we're made out of wood, we have vinyl siding and all this crap, it's all fuel. And you could have a porch fire that's basically a chair on fire and the whole porch, and it's just circling up the front of the house, or the whole exterior of the house is on fire. Looks very impressive. Mm-hmm. 2 seconds with a line knocks it all down. It's out.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is,
but even interior, you could have, you see fire out one or two windows. It's probably a 1-room fire.
Right.
Right. Most bedrooms have 2 windows. Right. Most rooms have 2 windows.
Yeah.
Not every, but most.
What I'm saying is, when if you are short-staffed or something like that, and you pull up, and to what you're saying, if it looks impressive, make sure that it is before you decide just throw deck gun water on it, and we're gonna call this one a loss.
Listen, an 1 3/4 line with a 15-16 tip can put out a hell of a lot of fire. Mm-hmm. All right, and even if you're using a 7/8 tip, right, it's a little bit less gallons per minute, but it flows a tremendous amount of water. And one person can sometimes hand that line if pressure is correct.
Right.
So, if you use your water wisely, if you look at what you're doing, all right, you can put out a tremendous amount of fire. And I try to show this a lot. We talk about big fire, big water. Yes, that is true. But just because it looks very impressive, you may be able to put it out with an 1 3/4.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying don't be stretching 1 3/4 into commercial buildings. You really need more water, and there's reasons for that.
Or booster lines.
Yeah, or booster lines, right? You should stretch significant amount of hose and water to those types of buildings.
Right. The next one, which kind of follows that, is thoughts on Class B1 firefighters, which are exterior firefighters that can use SCBA for exterior operations like car fires, but they're not interior structural firefighters. I don't know if I've seen that here, where guys can still wear a pack, but they're exterior.
We have a whole bunch of them.
do
Unless
you have
it
just
specifically
regular
says you
Class
have
B?
a back injury or something like that, all people should be able to wear an SCBA, including EMS.
I agree with that.
I mean, you could be at a fire or fertilizer plant and pesticides, you got to wear a mask. If there's smoke, you got to wear a mask.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think this person, they were a little concerned with their department, being that some of the guys who are interior firefighters are choosing to go Class B1 simply due to the fact that they just don't feel like dealing with the bailout harness.
Oh, there's a lot of them, and I think it's nonsense. I think if you're willing and capable of being an interior firefighter, you should be. Period. End of
Absolutely.
sentence. And a lot of people go to exterior thinking they don't have to do much. No, you still have a job to do. Mm-hmm. You know, we just did a training last week on stretching up stairwells, like if it was an apartment building, right? So we have a lot of apartments up at Stony Brook University, dorm rooms, stuff like that. 3 stories, 4 stories. They don't have standpipes in them. You got to stretch up the stairwell. And we told the exteriors, you got to put a pack on and you're going to be in the stairwell. Well, they're exterior. No, the fire's above you. In a building like that, the stairwell is protected. You can be in the stairwell. There's nothing wrong with that.
Now, but do you
Even in a
have-
high rise. I mean, you can go in the building in the stairwell and floors below.
Right, but do you have this type of classification?
We don't have it separated like that, B1, B2, or stuff like that, but there are people that can wear masks and people that can't, SCBA.
That's how I know it.
Yeah.
It's either you're PAC certified or you're not.
Right.
And that means you're either an interior firefighter or an exterior. I could see there are guys that maybe they can't do, like you said, if they have like a certain injury or something like that, where it's, hey, I can't be an interior firefighter, but I would like to be. I still want to do fire suppression, so I would like to be PAC certified. That way I can do, dumpster fires or car fires, whatever it may be. I could see that being an option, but when you have people that are simply going to this Class B1 just because they don't want to have a bailout harness, I think is stupid.
No, I mean, personally, I think everybody should be an interior firefighter, regardless, bailout systems, anything else. Yeah, it's one more training a year. Oh, whoop-de-doo. People are limited in time. I've heard all excuses. But, there are a lot of capable people that should be interior and not. Yeah. And then I've had the exteriors that get on the rig and then they stand there. They don't do anything. I go, what are you doing? You're the OV. Walk around the building. What? Walk around the building. That's your job. Like, you're not going to stand next to me. Why'd you get on the fire truck if you're just coming here to hang out and socialize?
Yeah, they just like to
Stay at the firehouse or get the hell out of here. I don't need you anymore.
They just like getting on the truck and, listening to the sirens, waving out the windows.
Years ago, we didn't have interior, exterior. Everybody was a firefighter. Yeah. Regardless of what you could do or couldn't do, everybody was a firefighter, interior, and that was it. And then they came up with all this interior, exterior, and then people, oh, well, I did bailout and I hurt my leg, so I'm not going to do bailout anymore, so I'm going to be an exterior. Come on, give me a break. Why are you a firefighter then? Either you want to be a firefighter or you don't. That's it. Personally, we got and I've said this before, when we look at volunteer fire service, they said we used to have 900,000 volunteer firefighters in the country. Now we're down to 600 and change. And I really debate that number because there's a lot of fire police people, there's EMS people, there's exterior firefighters, and when you really look at it, what are our true numbers as volunteers? Right. And then, even out of those interiors, how many of them actually are active and responding? And that is a problem. I think it's a super problem.
I think that goes into the last thing we have here is somebody asked, how do you reward performers using company funds without rewarding non-performers? So
that's a difficult one.
This person was saying that they were having issues with, I guess the department gives the companies money to spend on their guys to reward them for doing what they're supposed to do. And they have a lot of knife and forkers in the company that are reaping these benefits when they were the ones who didn't do shit.
I've seen both sides of it, and that's the thing. There's people that give awards because they're the most active. Well, if the guy's retired or doesn't have a job, yeah, he's going to be the most active person, regardless. I mean, it's a very tough situation because you want to say this person did a lot, and they did. Don't get me wrong, but it's you put down other people as well that are doing a good job or doing their best, and they may be coming out a lot too. And it's a situation. My company at one point was giving out an award. The person that did the most around here. Yeah, the person does the most around here and doesn't get on the rig half the time. I mean, come on, what are we doing here? You want to reward everybody as best you can. I get it, but it's a give and take.
Yeah, this guy mentioned that he started doing stuff as an officer where he would host a dinner night at his own house and invite the members that were, the active guys that were coming down for everything, which I think is good. But on the other side of it, you're going to kind of create a further divide within your company when the guys who didn't get invited hear about this party that everybody went to at your house that you paid for. So it is a tough. Your best bet is to talk to these people that aren't pulling their weight, seeing what's going on with them, and trying to get them involved somehow. If it's the senior guys that they've done their time or whatever, and we've said this before, but I had asked the older guys to come down for drills and give a hand to the guys that were learning, and they loved it. But you have to talk to these people one-on-one. You can't say it out in front of the company or whatever. Like, talk to these people. Hey, how can I get you more involved? Is there something that you would like to do? Because we do have a group of guys that are working their asses off down here, and we have another group of guys that just kind of comes and, this is a social club.
It's a volunteer service, and it's always going to be a difficult road, regardless of what you do. And there are people that sometimes have a little more time and they give a little more, and sometimes they don't. And it's gonna be this balance. If everybody is doing a little, the place will run well. And we see it in every company. I mean, every department has the same people. There's certain people that are around all the time, and there's certain people that aren't. Everybody needs to do a little. And if everybody does a little, the place will run smoothly.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate right now. My company has been very hot for a little while now. For the most part, almost everybody puts in time, some sort of time, whether it's a duty crew, whatever. And while they're doing a duty crew, they're doing things around the station. Last week we cleaned out a closet, and we're working on different closets, cleaning up the firehouse, making it better. And, maybe some of them aren't super busy or they're not super active, but they came down, they helped. And that's the goal. Get teamwork, more people together. Like I said, if everybody just does a little, it just goes so much further.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, that wraps
I got to go teach a class.
53. And
Out?
Yep, out.